Hi everybody and welcome to episode 2 in my Floral Tales series, where I explain the tales behind my submerged flower images. This one is all about foxgloves, the flowers of the fairies. Foxgloves, beautiful, mysterious and deadly. And we have several of them growing in our garden, which is quite wonderful in the summer as bees love them and we both enjoy the wildlife in our garden. With an interesting history and so many connections in folklore, I thought that there would be a fascinating subject for my submerged floral project. With their pretty colours, abundance of flowers per stem, and the intricate details of the petals. They were actually the most difficult of the flowers to secure in my tank, and after a couple of attempts, I actually resorted to placing them underwater upside down, with them tied to a piece of wood at the top, using invisible thread. But they still tried to float upwards and sideways, as if they had a will of their own. And I think maybe the flower fairies were most upset with me for bringing them inside. More on that soon. These striking flowers are highly toxic, so I wore gloves whilst handling them. Although foxglove has been used in herbal remedies and heart medicine for centuries, it can be extremely dangerous, and in the wrong dose it can be fatal. Used correctly though, it can also be life-saving. There was a saying linked to the plants in history that they can raise the dead or kill the living. Many wise women, herbalists or so-called witches used them in various remedies, and this led to the discovery of the plant as a heart medicine by a Dr. Withering, who supposedly gained his knowledge from an unnamed Shropshire wise woman and midwife. One unusual effect linking foxgloves to poisoning is called xanthopsia. It's a condition that alters colour perception, making the world appear yellow or green, or often with glowing blue halos around lights. Some historians believe that Vincent van Gogh may have suffered from this condition, and he even painted portraits of doctors holding stems of foxgloves. Despite the name, foxglove may not actually mean fox's gloves at all. Many believe it comes from folk's glove or fairy's glove. Folklore tells us of fairies giving foxes the flowers to wear on their paws so that they could move silently through the forest. Other tales say fairies taught foxes to ring the bells as warnings when hunters were nearby. Over the centuries, foxgloves have gathered an incredible number of names. Fairies' thimbles, witches' gloves, fairy fingers, rabbit flowers, throatwort, lion's mouth, fairies' petticoats, goblins' gloves, and even dead man's bells. In fact, it is said to be the British plant with more nicknames than any other, with over 30 recorded. In folklore, planting foxgloves near your home was believed to offer protection and to invite the fairies into the garden. The white spots inside each bell were said to be the fingerprints of fairy folk themselves. But bringing foxgloves indoors was thought to bring bad luck. According to legend, fairies dislike being disturbed, and keeping the flowers inside the house could anger them. It is believed that bringing them indoors can bring the devil into the house. And I was not fully aware of all of this folklore before I brought these into our house. but I did endeavour to plant more of them in our garden and to feed and nourish the ones left in our garden. So hopefully that appeased the fairies. The dew collected from foxglove blossoms was once used in spells meant to help people communicate with fairies. One tale says that fairies hid inside the foxglove's bell-shaped flowers. Curious, mischievous children would hold the blossom in one hand and strike the other against their palm, hoping to hear fairy thunder. Startled from its hiding place, the offended fairy would escape with a sharp snapping sound, which was just the mysterious clap of thunder that the children were waiting for. And perhaps the darkest superstition of all, if you hear the foxglove bells ringing, it may mean that death is close by, a chilling belief that likely grew from the plant's deadly nature. In ancient Roman Empire times, the foxglove was sacred to the goddess Flora. Legend says she used the flower to impregnate Hera with the god Mars. Since then, foxgloves have been linked to midwifery, woman's magic and white witches, said to live deep in the wild with their fox companions, wearing foxglove blossoms around their necks. In Celtic and British folklore, foxgloves were believed to be the home of the fairies, and picking them was thought to invite bad luck, whilst placing their leaves around a baby's cradle was said to protect the infants from being taken by the fairies. My favourite finding about these flowers is that even on still days, foxgloves can bob and sway when there is no wind at all. People once believed that this was the plant bowing to the fairy folk as they passed by to acknowledge them. And I kind of like to believe this one myself. So taking all of this rich history and folklore into consideration helped to guide me on the colours that I chose for this photo shoot. For this session, I chose silver watercolour paint to indicate the magic. And then I chose some pink to link with the goddess Flora and fertility, followed by some indigo and violet for their links to the spiritual world. I added white for an ethereal and whimsical feel, and glittery paint and ink for a further sprinkling of magic, kind of like a white witch's spell, with the glowing blue added for the link to the colour perception issues. I did not think that the yellow would work well with the colours already in the tank. This has been one of my favourite submerged sets to date, partly because of the folklore and partly because I just enjoyed the flowers, the colours and how they flowed. I do love the results, and to me, I feel that I was able to capture and to portray the fairy magic associated with the foxgloves. But what do you think? Do the images look magical to you? My next Floral Tales episode will be all about these beautiful, striking red parrot tulips. I hope you enjoyed this one, and if you did, then pop a comment in to let me know which is your favourite piece of folklore, or if you know of any other tales connected to foxgloves. I would absolutely love to hear them. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.